I'm Sarah Whitlock, and I've got here with me Nina Tucker. I am fulfilling a requirement for EDU 580 Methods and Techniques at Georgetown College. I will be modifying a lesson plan for ESL learners and using the WIDA standards. WIDA stands for World Class Instructional Design and Assessment, and they are comprised of 5 standards, which start with social and instructional language, the language of language arts, the language of mathematics is the 3rd one, the 4th standard is the language of science, and the 5th standard is the language of social studies. In those standards, we've got can-do descriptors, which is a philosophy that's based on the belief that all students bring their learning, cultural and linguistic practices, skills, and ways of knowing from their homes and educators. They use the guiding principles of language development as a foundation, and WIDA is identified prominent features of academic language, the interactions between different people for specific purposes and across different learning environments influence how language is used. The standards identify what language development might look like in a K through 12 classroom, and it scaffolds across different levels of language proficiencies within those 5 standards. The 5 standards represent social, instructional, and academic language that students need in order to interact with peers, educators, and curriculum. I'm going to talk a little bit about their levels and how they're split up into domains. You've got 4 different domains, starting with listening, going on to speaking, reading, and then writing. And within those domains, you've got different levels, and it starts off with level 1 with entering, and then level 2 is beginning, level 3 is developing, level 4 is expanding, and level 5 is bridging. With this lesson plan that I'll be modifying, my student is a Hispanic student. They moved here in 4th grade, and their overall access score is a 3.1, which means they're running about a 3rd grade level. So I'll be focusing mainly in that level 3 developing range. And the lesson plan is under inferencing, and so that would be under reading. So some examples that might work for this child, or for me as a teacher, to learn how to get a good idea of where to start off with him, would be to match main ideas with their details from paragraphs using a lot of visual support and a lot of graphic organizers. In the lesson plan that I'm doing, I'm using a lot of pictures of the actual lesson that I'm giving, so that he can go back and look again to see if he can remember if anything that was taught to him and remember the different parts of the lesson. It will also have Spanish words on it and on the cue card, so that he can connect the Spanish versus the English way. And then the vocab cards he will be able to use, I'll set up for him. They'll have both languages on them once again, so he can flip back and forth if there's a question on what anything means. A large sensory support that would be helpful for him would be magazines or any sort of picture connection with captions, and then any sort of collaboration that he can use with another ELL teacher or instructor, like a mentor, would be extremely helpful, so that he could go to him in private and ask questions without getting embarrassed, or anything that he needs extra help with. That mentor would be right there with him. Some graphic organizers are essential when going through the lesson, so that he doesn't feel scattered and all over the place, because a lot of times ELLs may get lost in the jumble since they don't understand. So any sort of graphic organizers that he'd be able to follow along with my lesson in doing, such as a companion sheet or a foldable, which allows the child to see the vocab word, a picture, and the definition, and you can put the definition in both languages. Also, it'd be ideal for them to be able to be paired with another student that is at or above their level, so that not only are they working on their advancing in their English vocabulary and academic ways, but their socialization as well, because that also gets combined in with how well they do academically. The technology that I want to be using throughout this is a software called Reading A to Z, and within the software they've got stories that get harder and harder with every level, or they back down to easier, more simplified versions if the student needs it. And they show them a lot of pictures of what's happening in each part of the story, so that even if he doesn't understand the words, he's able to put together the story with the pictures. And then it also shows them any sort of keywords that he needs. If he clicks on them, it shows them in Spanish, so that he can follow along that way. PowerPoint is huge, because with that I can put in wherever I need to a Spanish paraphrasing of what it is that the PowerPoint is showing, recording the lesson itself so that he can take it home, watch it over again, show it to his parents or anybody at home that may be able to kind of watch it with him and follow along with him, and vocabulary that we can show in class that gets the kids up and moving, that gets him interactive with everything, so that brings in some sort of active movement, as well as visually seeing it, hearing it, and interacting with the other students. To wrap up, you might be able to identify whether or not the student understands how well the lesson has been taught to him by having him orally explain to you in private. Once again, if he's embarrassed because he can't speak fluently, he could explain to you how he thinks inferencing is, or any sort of, he could give you different clues for a little lesson that he creates, and then have him explain what inferencing is based on what it is that he has learned over the lesson. Allowing him to make a video, allowing him to type if he feels more comfortable staying silent, but putting his words into a document in some way, creating a movie with pictures or interactive videos if they go more that way, and simply making connections with pictures and words, so almost like a crossword, but using pictures so that they can connect what they've done or what they've learned using pictures matched up with both Spanish and English words to keep that connection between the two languages.